They laughed when she stopped running until she carried a 250-pound sergeant 3 miles. The dust rose around her boots as she suddenly stopped in the middle of the training field. The rest of the platoon surged forward, sweat glistening, lungs burning, but not daring to slow down. A few smirked, a few laughed, another recruit quitting in the brutal heat. But the young woman stood still, her eyes locked on the ground ahead, as if she was preparing for something no one else could see. And then, without a word, she bent down and pulled a full-grown man, the 250-pound sergeant, onto her shoulders. 3 miles. That's what stood between her and the finish line. 3 miles with a body twice her weight draped across her back. The laughter stopped, replaced by silence and disbelief. How long could she last? Would she collapse under the strain or prove everyone wrong? Her name was Reyes, the daughter of a steelworker and a nurse. Growing up, she was used to people underestimating her, too small, too fragile, too out of place in a world of soldiers. Every day of training, whispers followed her. She won't last. She doesn't belong here. But Reyes carried something heavier than any rucksack, the weight of her father's words. Strength isn't what you show when it's easy. It's what you do when no one believes you can. That morning, during the grueling endurance run, the sergeant leading the platoon stumbled. He barked an order for someone to carry him as part of the drill, testing who had the grit to step forward. No one moved. Then Reyes stopped running, turned back, and crouched in front of the fallen giant. "Get on," she said flatly. The laughter erupted instantly. But when she stood, with the sergeant slung over her shoulders like he weighed nothing more than her father's old steel beams, the laughter died. The first half-mile was the hardest. Her legs shook, her lungs screamed, and every step felt like it would be the last. The men around her jeered at first. She won't make it to the next marker. But then silence crept in as they realized she was still moving. 1 mile down, then 2. Every inch of the road seemed to push her closer to collapse. Yet, with every grunt, with every bead of sweat dripping into the dirt, she remembered every insult, every doubt, every shadow she had lived in. This was her answer. By the second mile, the platoon had fallen behind her. The same recruits who mocked her were now struggling to keep pace with the woman carrying the weight none of them had dared to touch. Reyes realized the truth in that moment. It wasn't just about finishing the run. It was about shattering the image of what they thought strength looked like. And for the first time, the platoon began to rally, their footsteps syncing with hers, driven not by mockery but by respect. The third mile stretched like an eternity. Reyes' arms trembled, her back screamed in agony, and her vision blurred. For a moment, her knees buckled. The weight of the sergeant nearly crushed her into the dirt. The old doubts whispered again. "You don't belong here. You'll fail like they said you would." She closed her eyes and heard her father's voice once more. "Strength isn't shown when you stand tall. It's when you rise after you've already fallen." With one final surge, Reyes straightened her spine and pushed forward. Each step was agony, but she refused to give in. The finish line loomed ahead. The sergeant's voice, once booming with authority, was quiet now, almost reverent. "Don't stop. You've already won." And with a final gasp, she crossed the line, collapsing to her knees as the weight finally rolled off her shoulders. The platoon stood in stunned silence. The ones who had laughed were now the first to step forward, not with jeers, but with respect. The sergeant, still catching his breath, looked at her and said words she would never forget. "Today, you didn't just carry me. You carried this entire platoon." Reyes had proved it wasn't size, gender, or muscle that defined strength. It was grit, resilience, and the refusal to surrender when the world doubted you. And from that day forward, no one laughed when Reyes stopped running, because they all knew what she was capable of carrying. If this story touched you, hit that like button and drop a karma in the comments below.